Welcome back to another episode of the Mile 40 podcast. Thank you for continuing to tune in. And this episode is coming out on Thanksgiving. So I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, wish you a happy and healthy holiday season. Thank you for continuing to tune in. Say thank you to you directly for just being fans of the show. And if I can make one ask, it's go on the platform of your choice, hit subscribe, and drop a review. And I'd really, really appreciate it. Today's guest is Lexi Mickens. Lexi's first and foremost a friend, but she's also a former college athlete turned corporate America worker. Her determination, leadership, and compassion on the court led her to working for the best corporations in both tech and sports. Lexi has distinguished herself over the years on several accounts, but first and foremost, the number one thing that comes to mind is her organization that she started, Run It Back. And we are going to dive into that organization and we're going to learn all about her journey to get there. So let me start off by saying, Lexi, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, it's the month of gratitude. I'm really thankful for you and your friendship and mentorship and just excited to be here.
Of course, of course. What I love about your journey that we're going to dive into is the fact that you turned your passion into your career, but you didn't even know it was going to be your career, and things in life had to happen before it became your career. And I've been watching you through the ups and downs of this entire journey, and you've handled it with a lot of grace. And so why don't we start from a little bit of the beginning? You know, we're not going to go all the way back to childhood, but let's go back to number one, defining what is Run It Back?
Yeah, Run It Back is a 501c3 nonprofit revolutionizing communities through sports. And we do this in three pillars, really, to keep it simple. We offer free basketball engagements for anyone over the age of 12 to really 65. We have no age cutoff. If you have good energy, love the game of basketball, we have a spot for you. We also offer free student athlete mentorship. So we have a 26-week curated curriculum focused on cognitive thinking, time management, personal branding, how to pitch yourself, you name it, helping student athletes from 7th through 12th grade get a better understanding of some life skills that sports teach you, but unfortunately aren't taught in the classroom just yet. And then for our adults that are over the age of 18, we partner with major corporations to offer mock interviews, resume reviews, speed networking sessions. Believe it or not, a resume review can cost an individual $200, $300. And we like to lessen that burden and provide our adults an opportunity to grow their professional network and also get some much needed help, especially in today's job market. So we're in 14 states so far. Hopefully we'll be in all 50 and I can come back on the podcast and share our growth, and hopefully we'll be international soon as well.
Well, 14 states in short time is still very impressive. I want to ask you the name, Run It Back. It's so cool. And it's so like, you know, I bet a bunch of people are thinking, wow, why didn't I think of that? Where'd you get the idea from around the name?
Yeah, I think it's said all the time, like you mentioned, and I just haven't heard of an organization use it. So thought it was pretty timely. And in the basketball world, especially before leaving the court, if you win or if you lose, I feel like it's the phrase most people say. So having it be said so organically definitely helps. Yeah, I think I wrote down about like 50 to 100 different names. I think the ideation phase of any idea and concept is probably the hardest, right? Because you want the name to stick, you want to love it from year one to year 75. And so pretty content with it right now. Things can always change, but I love it and I love how the community uses it.
I love it. Let's go back to your personal relationship with sport. Like I said earlier in your bio, you were a college athlete. I'm guessing basketball. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about when you started playing and a little bit about your college career.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely was not a track athlete. It was basketball. But I started playing back in about fifth or sixth grade. I played for my local church team, Our Lady Queen of Martyrs in Forest Hills, Queens. And that was my first experience with organized basketball. Playing on that church team actually gave me a scholarship to a private school to continue my middle school and high school education, which was great. But unfortunately, they didn't have a women's basketball team. So I played on the boys varsity team for quite some time, which killed my scouting process, but really taught me fundamentals and just overall toughness and a new experience to the game, which deepened my love, I would say. After high school, I had a few scholarship opportunities academically that I decided to defer because I didn't have the perfect balance of academics and athletics. And at that time, unfortunately, women's sports didn't have the same like viewership and didn't have the same, I would say, support as it does now. So a lot of female athletes were navigating the journey themselves. And so went to a few different schools looking for that perfect fit. Played at LaGuardia Community College, ASA Community College, and ended up and finished my playing career at Wagner College. I slipped a letter underneath the head coach's door because I never had a female coach in my entire playing career. And it was a coach that I watched very thoroughly and wanted to play for. And so had an opportunity to walk on there. And during my time in college is really when I started Run It Back. I wanted an opportunity to play with more individuals in different cities while I traveled and just expand the game of basketball. Being a walk on, you need to be in the best shape and have the best attitude and have the most energy. And so, how was I able to do that? Just continuing to play the sport that I love with individuals that became friends.
Can we go back really quick to your experience? I'm guessing this was high school when you were playing with the boys varsity team. Can you talk a little bit about, any potential learnings throughout that process, and maybe any emotions? Like, did it bother you that you didn't have a women's team at the time, and did it instill any sort of motivation playing with the boys?
Yeah, all the things. I mean, I had no one to sing like any songs with on the bus. I was the only one in the locker room. When we had our halftime kind of conversations in the boys' locker room, a coach specifically had to escort me in and out, make sure no one was changing or anything like that. And some parents just weren't nice. So I think about it now that I have a child. Like, if I did see a girl on a boys' team due to Title IX, what would my perception of it be? But yeah, it was really difficult. I tried to do so many things to make me feel more feminine and just keep to my identity. So I'd have like the brightest nail colors on my hands. I'd make sure my spandex would match, even though it was just me seeing it. I'd wear really colorful tie dye socks, you name it, headbands. It was really a tough time, but it made my love for the sport grow, and it made me question why I love the sport so much. And I learned a lot, especially within the physicality of the game, the speed of the game, the dynamics of the game, shooting with a heavier ball. And so a lot of the learnings transferred to Run It Back because all of our community offerings are mostly co ed. So, providing a brave space for females and males to play together, which professionally isn't done, but it's done all over in parks or open gyms in LA Fitness and so forth. So, but so many learnings, a lot that I still hold very close to my heart because I feel like it shaped the person that I
Yeah,
am.
absolutely. I mean, I could definitely see the learnings that could come from an experience like that, and I feel like you have the just the mindset of seizing the opportunity. I feel like a lot of people could have looked at it as a reason to walk away, but like you mentioned, it gave you the chance to really explore why you love the sport. Now let's dig into yourself on the court. Hey, what position did you play, and what kind of player were you on the court?
Yeah, I was definitely the energetic shooting guard that only wanted to shoot the ball. And I think that's probably still my playing style today, which I'm totally fine with it. I think it's mostly because of my playing experience playing with men. I was the smallest person on the court usually. And so my coach would always say, if you can get the ball above your shoulders and it's an open shot, shoot the thing and then be the first one back on defense in case there's a fast break. Clearly, I'm not getting a rebound over anyone that's 6'2" or even shorter than 6'2". That's a male. And so mostly just playing a shooting guard. When I transitioned into college, I did have an opportunity to play the point guard for some of the teams I played on, but shooting the three is probably my favorite thing about the sport.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I was in the shooting guard realm when I was on the court back in the day, so I could totally relate there. And I think that you see a lot when you're out on the perimeter. and you learn a lot. And I think a lot of that could be applied to things out off the court. And I want to kind of segue a little bit now into the transition post college. You did some pretty cool things. You told me that you were tossing out t-shirts at the Garden at one point. So let's figure that out, and let's talk a little bit about how we got there.
Yeah. So while I was in high school, I had an opportunity towards the end of my high school career, just networking amongst people in sports, to throw my name in the hat for some event like production type of work for some New York professional sports teams. So I've had an opportunity to work for almost every single New York professional sports teams in the game day functionality. So the contests that you see on the court, the live shots that you see on the Jumbotron, the people basically producing that. And yeah, I actually got my job in tech through throwing t-shirts at Madison Square Garden. One of my coworkers decided to join a tech company that was relatively new in New York. They were expanding. And so by throwing t-shirts, she had asked if I wanted to start within the real estate and workplace services scope. So taking care of the facility, helping employees, treating them like our customers, and then giving their customers the same experience. And so I was just finishing up my college career at Wagner and decided to take a shot at it. And I stayed at that corporation for about 5 years, 5.5 years. And yeah, never thought throwing shirts at a sports venue would lead me into tech. But
Well, I got to ask this question. So I have Knicks season tickets. I'm a big Knicks fan. And I just want to know, how do I get selected to shoot the half court shot? One
yeah.
time, I just want to be part of that competition. Who do I have to call? You're the closest I've gotten to knowing anyone who knows anything about that world. Can you give me some sort of insight into how to potentially get selected for something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So they definitely don't choose friends of friends. I can tell you that. So
There.
most of the contestants are chosen based on really just wearing Knicks gear. Like we definitely want someone that's a diehard fan. And so I think that's with any team, really. If you're wearing the gear, sporting the gear, some folks even come early to the games, like when doors open and
Yeah.
just roaming the concourse. I think it's pretty easy to see who works in the fan entertainment side of things because you'll see them in a complete uniform, almost replicating what's on the court. So
So
I
it's
think
not like
that's
a
probably,
pre-selected person. They didn't like pick this person like months in advance and say, "Hey, you're shooting like the short."
uh,
Not usually, at least, right?
yeah, unless it's like maybe a
Okay.
sponsored contest, because some of the contests are sponsored by cruise lines and things like that. So I haven't worked in that sports realm for about 3 years now. I don't think much has changed,
I'll
but
take whatever
yeah,
advice you can give
yeah,
me. If I gotta show up early,
uh,
I'll show up early. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm telling my wife one day I'm gonna make it on that court. So
Yeah, just started roaming around the concourse and it'll be for you.
there you go. Yeah, I had to take that little detour because I've been dying to uncover this. All right, so back to work. You've been in the tech space now for about 5 years. You hit a couple realms and learned a few different things working at different parts of the organization. And now you're off on your own. What led you to that transition?
Yeah, great question. Hot topic for 2023. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I was a part of the massive tech layoffs at the start of the year. And so I took that opportunity to really understand what my passion is. And they say if you, what's the quote that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so I
Yeah.
always said by the age of 30 that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but little did I know God had the plan for me at the age of 27. And so I decided to take my passion project and become a full time entrepreneur. We were already a 501c3, and we're already in 10 states at the start of the year. So we've expanded to 4 states. And believe it or not, some of our biggest partnerships happened this year. Our organization was featured on ABC, the Tamron Hall Show. We had two really outstanding opportunities to work with Jordan Brand for both NBA and WNBA All Star. We had a 4 state tour with Snipes, helping our adult participants on and off the court with some professional development offerings and also free basketball. And then we've also just hosted organic open runs and mentorship opportunities as well. So the tech layoff, although it did sting, and I definitely think it's one of the many things I'll remember of this year. It definitely opened up a door that I probably wasn't ready to open just quite yet, but in the grand scheme of things, I was probably more ready than I could ever imagine.
Walk us through your mindset a little bit, right? Because there's a lot of people who are perhaps even further along in their careers or who are older, who are maybe one foot in, one foot out, who want to go about perhaps really leaning into their passion, which you did right here, but hesitate to do it. And here you are, essentially given the opportunity, but not in the best circumstances up front, at least how it looks like. And you really have to think through it. And you're taking a very calculated risk while you do it. And I remember you sharing the support that you got from your husband at the time, which I'm sure played a critical role in helping you make this kind of decision. But how much of it was you saying, that's it, I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to own this, and whatever happens, happens, versus how much was it, perhaps the people around you saying, why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, it was definitely the latter of the two. My husband definitely is the one that instills all the confidence in me. And he himself has been an entrepreneur for 8 going on 9 years now. So definitely my trusted advisor that I'm so thankful and fortunate to have. But at the time of the layoffs, I was also in my third trimester of my pregnancy. So honestly, it was the health of me and my soon to be child, our soon to be child. Or feeling just defeated and emotional and just stuck in a drought. And so I definitely want to put all my focus there and really just be considerate of everything that was going on in my life and realize that this was just a blessing in disguise. And thankfully, my husband was able to instill all this confidence in me and remind me that this was an opportunity that I was waiting for to practice entrepreneurship and really dive into it head first and just really rely on the skills that I've built in corporate America and understanding that God gives you a vision for you to fulfill, and not fulfilling that vision or not using your skills is a disservice. And so being able to help others is the biggest blessing I can ask for. And so why not take the chance? And it was kind of the perfect timing too, welcoming our daughter into this world, generally a time where women take a break from work if they're able to, or have an opportunity to take a maternity leave. And so instead of taking a maternity leave, I was in the hospital answering some emails. I'll never forget this summer. It was our first summer with multiple interns that we had that were completing their summer capstone project for our organization. And so we were both answering emails in the hospital, but I definitely don't think I would have been able to do it without him. And then also so many trusted friends and just support. My support system overall was truly unbelievable when I needed them the most.
Hey all, it's me, Bishoy. As a marathon runner and endurance athlete, I've come to understand the importance of properly fueling your body for preparation and recovery. Every day, you get a shot at success. How you start your day typically paints a picture of what the rest of the day will look like. Start your day with a super convenient, healthy, and delicious nutritional win. Meal 1 by Creatures of Habit. Overnight oatmeal packed with 30 grams of plant-based protein, chia, flax, and pumpkin seeds. Vitamin D3, omega-3s, a probiotic, and digestive enzymes, made in under 1 minute. Stop wasting time or worrying about what to eat as your first meal of the day. Start with meal 1. Visit creaturesofhabit.com, creatures spelled with a K, and use code MILE40 for 15% off a one-time purchase or the first subscription order payment. Looking back on it now, how proud are you of where you are today? I mean, you have to be incredibly proud. I know that I saw it from when it started to where you are today, and I'm blown away. And I feel like you're not even you barely got started. I feel like, you talk about it and you mention, these opportunities to work with these huge brands and these huge media opportunities. And it honestly sounds like you're just getting going. And so is a part of that, maybe the athlete in you that refuses to be satisfied, and you have so much more ahead of you. I know the entrepreneurial aspect of things, you really can't you can't pause because there is no time really to pause. But I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. So let's start really quick. How proud are you of where you are today?
Uh, I don't like using the word proud too much.
Okay.
I would say I am very thankful
Okay.
and very blessed to understand like how God is using me in this light and how I'm a vessel to help others. And yeah, very thankful because none of these opportunities, media engagements, brand partnerships, I like to say they're not because of me, they're because of the community members and those we're helping and just the mission overall. But yeah, very thankful, very grateful, very blessed, and would not have believed any of this if you told me this is what my 2023 bingo card was looking like.
If you could go back a year ago and give yourself one piece of advice, is there anything that you would have either changed or anything you would have tweaked, or would you have leaned into this quicker, maybe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I honestly don't know. I think the piece of advice would be, like you said, keep going, not taking any days off. I think entrepreneurship is definitely a long game, and it's not about only winning today, but it's about winning in week 7 and year 7 and year 15. And so, just being proactive every single day and yeah, I think another piece of advice I would have given myself too is just like enjoy the moment. Just super grateful for being able to carry a child and bring life into this world. And while everything was happening during my pregnancy, I just had to kind of look back and pause and just realize what a blessing all of this is. And so, taking things one step at a time is definitely huge as well. But it's been amazing. I mean, there are members from our organization that were featured in a global Nike campaign just because they're part of the Run It Back community, not because they're models, but because they're the average corporate America worker or the average basketball coach that's a part of our community and giving back. And now they get to tell their story. And so basketball has given me so many things in this lifetime. So to be able to provide it for free to others and connect them with their favorite brands has been monumental.
That's amazing. I think about you now as a mother with your daughter, and a lot of the things that you even talked about on the show so far reflect and embody just such positive messages that I think will, be truly impactful with your relationship with your daughter. She's going to see what mommy has done. She's going to see that, what you kind of worked through to get here, not just in the past year, but even going back to those experiences, which we didn't really dive into too deeply, but, back in high school, playing with the boys and navigating that and using that as an opportunity to explore your passion. And you didn't tell us exactly what year you started the 501c3, but the fact that you even started it as young as you started it, it shows the fact that you're about taking actions, even if it means, taking the small step and realizing that it might take time to build. And so, do you think about that? Do you think about the relationship you're going to one day have with your daughter and how it's all going to tie together?
Yeah, making me cry over here. Wow. Yeah, I mean, being a mom is something I've always wanted. And I think it's why I like coached at such a young age. The mentorship curriculum we have is based off of a curriculum I used when I was mentoring student athletes that were also females. And so and my husband and I want a really big family and want the entrepreneurial household where there's like 4 or 5 kids running around and, we get to be there at different moments and have that luxury of some freedom and whatnot. But you're always working as well as an entrepreneur. So I think about that all the time too. Even now, like she's 5 months old. We just had a partnership call and she's sitting on my lap in the partnership call, basically on the call too, having an opportunity to just hear us speak and watch us work every day. And she's been to 5 states already, all for work trips for Run It Back. So she's very much a part of our community. And I think it's also a beautiful blessing to see our community members also become parents as well. We had
Yeah.
about 5 or 6 community members welcome babies into their life this year too. So that's been really fun to watch. But yeah, I think that was also motivation to not give up and keep going. And the perfect time being now, because I do want to show my daughter that it is possible to live out your dreams and this is what it looks like. So hopefully I'm doing a good job so far and will continue to show her that in the years to come.
I love it. And I love the fact that, you are able to lean into it. And the truth is that, when it comes to these partnerships, when it comes to these kind of engagements, people want to see authenticity. And there's nothing more authentic than, having your baby side by side. And, I always said to myself, when it comes to anything I do around this platform, my personal platform, my baby can't come, then I don't know that it's something that I want to do or partake in. And so that's something that, I really kind of think is special about taking ownership around these endeavors. I want to make sure that we give the audience some insight into not only what your future vision is for Run It Back, but also how people can get involved. I think that now that we have an understanding of what the organization is and what it offers, let's start with future vision. What do you want to see out of Run It Back? Let's call it in the intermediate 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Yeah, definitely having constant activations in a majority of the states. So definitely the 14 we're in already, and hopefully all 50 by that time frame. What I mean by constant activations, constant engagement is hosting opportunities for student athletes and adults to play the game of basketball for free, either weekly, biweekly, monthly, at the least. So providing them those opportunities, and then also providing career development engagements for our adults monthly. Right now, a lot of our programming is focused on one-to-one offering. So when an adult needs a mock interview or a resume review, maybe for a job opportunity that's coming up, they'll reach out to us and we'll pair them based on the field that they're interviewing for. But I would love to see those scale and offer those in-person opportunities with major corporations that are looking to give back in the workforce development area of expertise. And then also just continuing to help more student athletes. We've helped student athletes grow personally, that when they are applying to colleges, they have such an outstanding resume academically and personally with their accolades that their coaches are offering them both academic and athletic scholarships, or academic even before athletic. And just helping student athletes become a well-rounded individual is definitely of high importance to our organization. So constant programming in our 3 pillars of engagements, and hopefully state expansion, and if not, international expansion as well.
I love that. I love that. And just a question more out of curiosity, state from a state expansion perspective, what is exactly required out of that? Once you become a 501c3, is it just not recognized in certain states, or how do you get that expansion?
Yeah. So, I mean, the expansion, I guess, differs for each organization and what it looks like to host programming in certain states and cities for your org. But in terms of like where you're registered, we register where we're home based out of. So we're a 501c3 registered in New York, but you are able to do programming in any city of your liking. I would say the only difference here is when you're looking at grants and funding opportunities. A lot of grants or funding will have specific state requirements, or make sure that you're registered within that state for that opportunity. We specifically look at percentages and numbers in terms of how many adults or student athletes are underserved in the community through sport, and what is it that they're lacking through sport. Is it a facility where they're not able to play the sport? Is it access to equipment? And then we go from there, basically.
Got it. Got it. And how can, the listener get involved?
Yeah, so if you play basketball and you're anywhere between the ages of 12 to maybe 65 or so forth, you can sign up. You'd fill out the Join Our Community form on our website, werunitback.com. From there, you'll get information on events happening in your city or state, and you'll also get information on all of our programming happening nationwide. Just in case you are traveling, you're able to sign up for as many states as you like. If you're a listener in the corporate space and want to volunteer, we have ongoing volunteer opportunities for you to serve as a mock interviewer, a resume reviewer, or just a corporate personnel that our adult constituents can connect with. And you can also sign up for as many states as you'd like within our website at the Join Our Community form at werunitback.com. And if you're a sponsor or a brand listening as well, we're always opening to making new connections and providing the utmost experiences for our constituents. What's really neat too is that we hire local content creators. So we have photographers and videographers come to each of our open run engagements so that they can expand their portfolio and have an opportunity to capture new faces, but then also connect with these brands. So some photographers and videographers have shot content for us, and we've been able to connect them with different personnel. And now some of them are even shooting full time for the New York Liberty or shooting for brands like Timberland. And so it's led to job opportunities far and wide. And it's amazing to see.
That's amazing. It's amazing to see where you've come, where you've taken the organization. And, I know you don't want the spotlight on you. So just to see the growth of the organization holistically, and then the purpose and the mission and, your humility behind it, but also the grace by which you carry it forward. And, I just want to say thank you for coming on, for sharing it. I think one of the key takeaways here for the listeners is we've had a couple of people come on and talk about, career transitions or getting laid off or getting fired or getting put in a position where, they had to make a decision quick. And what I really want people to take away from this is it could be an opportunity to lean into the thing that you've always wanted to and you've been hesitant to. And, you're a clear example of, turning that situation into the thing you probably always wanted. And so I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing all this. I can't wait to get the word out about Run It Back and just about your story. I think it's extremely relatable. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And if I can add one last thing to your key takeaways, I think it's so important to continue to build your passions when you're working in corporate or when you're working for someone else. I think a lot of times we allow that corporation to be at the forefront of our identity, and you are your identity. And so having an opportunity to build your personal brand and make it what you wish it to be, I think is huge. And just building out those hobbies, because you can be more than one thing, you're limitless in terms of what you're defined as. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You got it. I love the way you ended it right there. It kind of sounded like a Nike commercial. So I'm all in on that, but thank you. It was great having you on.
Thank you.